This one candle Fibonacci model works so well because it completely removes emotion from the picture. It's completely mechanical and gives you a stupid, simple set of rules that you can apply to your trading. Mark one candle, set your orders, and walk away. And honestly, by the end of this video, if you still can't trade this, you should probably consider deleting TradingView. So now that gold is up on your charts, obviously you're going to need to be on the daily time frame. And once you're on the daily time frame, the first step is going to be to measure the daily candles high and low with the Fibonacci tool. And what that looks like is simply dragging it from wick to wick. And of course, you're going to need these levels on your chart, with the 1 level indicating the daily high, your 0.9 being your stop loss, and the 1.25 level being your take profit. And of course, it's going to be the same but inverse on the sells, with the 0 for your daily low, your 0.1 for your stop loss, and your negative 0.25 for your take profit. And of course, now that we have these levels on our charts, we need to be targeting a total of 2.5R per trade, which on the chart is simply going to look like this, with entry at the open, stop loss at the 0.9, and take profit at the 1.25. And of course, for the case of buys, we're going to need to place a long position at the open, aka the 1 level, stop loss at the 0.9, and a take profit at 1.25 for a total of about 2.5R. And just like mentioned before, this long position will be about a 2.5R. And of course, for sells, we're going to be placing our short position at the low of the daily range, with stop loss at the 0.1 and a take profit at the negative 0.25 level for a profit of about 2.5R. And what your day is really going to look like is you waiting for this candle to close, setting both a buy and a sell order. And once you have both of these orders placed, you can simply walk away for the day. You are done trading. Simply have MetaTrader cancel your orders for the next day, which in fact brings me to my next point. We're going to need to avoid trading from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. You're simply going to have your orders canceled at 12 p.m. and wait for the next day's open at 6 p.m., which in this case, gold is a little bit different from the Forex pairs. Of course, as we know, those pairs close at 5 p.m. EST, but with gold, it's going to be 6 p.m. EST. And now that we're clear on how this system actually works, we're going to go ahead and do some back testing together. And before we actually dive into the backtesting of this system, I do want to show you guys some data that I've collected for this system. If we look at the total of 482 trades taken and we input an RR of 2.5, we can see that 204 out of the 482 trades have banged at 2.5R, which is about a 42% win rate, which translates to about a little less than half an R per trade. So as you guys can see, the proof is here. This system absolutely works, and all we have to do is follow the rules. And of course, one thing to note, obviously our stop losses are going to be tight with this system. As we know, when we're targeting the high RRs, slippage has little to no effect on how the profit factor will play out for the system. So now that we're clear on the rules and the data behind this system, let's go ahead and do some back testing together. So we're going to scale down to the 15-minute time frame just so we can see price in the best way possible. I'll go ahead and adjust the chart as such. And of course, let's adjust these positions here, and let's go ahead and get rid of these positions here. And now that we have our range outlined on the lower time frames, we'll go ahead and let price play out. And what I've done is denoted the hours we don't want to be trading in red. So if any instance, if price is to cross the high or the low in these red hours, there's simply not going to be a trade taking place. So that is when you need MetaTrader to cancel your orders before the hours of 12 p.m. EST. And without further ado, let's go ahead and play price. Okay, so we have our first entry at the low. So obviously we would have had a short position prior. So stop loss is going to be at the 0.1 with a take profit at this negative 0.25 level. And we're just going to align it with the correct levels. And as you guys can see, that is going to give us a profit of about 2.5R. And one thing that's really important to note when you're backtesting, you always want to go down on a lower time frame and make sure this candle here did not grab your stop loss after entering the position. So we'll go down on a 1-minute chart, for example, and as you can see, we had a clean entry and this red line here held. We did not see price grab our entry and then reverse, taking us out. So this trade is totally valid. So we'll scale back down to the 15-minute time frame and we'll simply let price play out. That is a winning trade of about plus 25R. So as always, we're going to be journaling together just so you guys can see the dynamics of the system. So we'll delete this position here, and in our journal, we're going to add a plus 2.5 RR, and we'll let the next daily range form. Awesome, so our next range has formed. So as always, we're going to be adjusting our fibs from high to low. And now that our ranges are outlined, you're placing an order at the high and at the low, and you're simply walking away. And again, this red box here, you're absolutely going to want to avoid trading. So simply have your orders close out before 12 p.m., just like I noted, and wait for that next daily close. And as you guys saw throughout all the trades, I document all the times of entry, and simply the data has informed me that we want to avoid these hours. And a simple translation for this data factor is the fact that liquidity slows down in the market, so we don't want to be trading these hours. And as always, let's continue playing price. Okay, perfect. So that's going to be a clean entry into this level here. And of course, stop loss at the 0.1 level with your take profit at the negative 0.25. And now what we're going to do is just confirm on the lower time frames that we didn't get stopped out, so we can collect the data accurately here. And as you can see, price went right to our entry. There was no reversal. Of course, on the higher time frames, you could see one candle that taps you in, travels back up to your stop loss and closes here, which of course you're only seeing one candle in this data. It's important when you're back testing to go on the lower time frames and make sure you didn't get stopped out. So this way you can collect the data as accurate as possible. And now that we're back on the 15-minute, this went right into profit in less than 30 minutes, which is absolutely crazy. This is why I love trading gold. And this is why this entire model works so well, because we're simply taking advantage of the liquidity in gold to catch the quick break of liquidity with the impulsive price action that follows afterwards. So now that this trade is in the books, we're going to delete this and document another +25 RR on our journal. And we'll go ahead and let this range close out. Beautiful. So this range is closed out, and we'll go ahead and adjust our fib levels as such at the low and the high of the daily range, which, keep in mind, on the higher time frame, this is simply the data from a daily candle. So between these lines here is the previous day's candle, and in this range here is the current day candle. And of course, on the daily time frame, you're just seeing candles, but for the sake of back testing and observing price action, it's always cleanest to view this on the 15-minute time frame. And if you guys are interested, I do have this indicator pinned down in the comments if you guys want to back test yourself. And of course, if you guys really like these one candle setups, down in the description, I have a free one candle playbook going over profitable one candle strategy. It has all the mechanical rules, the entries, the stop losses, and a simple how-to system of how to apply these strategies to your trading. So of course, you can see instant results with trading only like 5 to 10 minutes a day. And this gold system here is actually one of my favorites. It consistently generates me about 5 to 10K a month. On winning months, it's easily generating me over $10,000 a month. And of course, when there's no setups on gold, that is when I'll utilize any of the one candle setups you guys have seen in this channel or in the playbook down in the description. But of course, now that this range is closed out, we're going to go ahead and let price play out. We're approaching the high. Let's see if price can run it. We have entered our no trade hours. So if price even is to take this high here or run to this level, it doesn't matter. We're not trading in these hours. That's what the data has told us. And we're simply going to follow our rules. That is how we stay dialed in. So as of this range here, this was a no trade scenario. So we're simply going to let this range close out and wait for the next trading day. So we have our next daily range. We're going to simply observe price to see if price wants to break out the high or low and give us a trade opportunity. All right, wonderful. So we have an entry there. That's going to be a short at the low with a stop loss at this red line here, aka the 0.1 level, and a take profit at the negative 0.25. And just before we continue playing this trade, let's confirm we didn't get stopped out on the lower time frame. So on the 1 minute here, we can see price traveled into our entry and price continued downwards. There was no reversal taking us out. So again, always confirm on the lower time frames in your back testing. So definitely always make sure you're checking the lower time frames, like I said earlier, to make sure price is not reversing and taking you out of the position. So let's go back on the 15-minute time frame. We'll let price play out and see if our take profit is hit. And as you guys can see, price was just short of our take profit. And if we zoom in here, you guys can definitely see that we were a hair away from take profit, which is no worries at all. It's simply a -1 in the system. So as always, we'll get rid of this position here and we'll throw on a good old -1 RR onto the journal. And now that we have already taken our trade for the day, of course, there's no need to do anything else other than to show up at the next daily close and simply rinse and repeat. All we're doing is showing up to the chart, placing our orders, and walking away. And that is the power of these one candle systems. And that is why I'm absolutely joyful to be sharing these with you guys here on YouTube. But anyway, we're gonna let this range close out. Okay, we have our next levels. So let's go ahead and adjust the fib from high to the low of the range. And now that our levels are outlined, we're going to go ahead and play price. Okay, we're approaching the low. Okay, and as you guys can see, that is a clean entry. So we would have had a short already placed, stop loss at the red line, take profit at the negative 0.25, which of course is going to yield us about 2.5 R. So just like the previous examples, we want to make sure this candle here didn't tap us in, reverse, and then close back at this level. So we'll do that by going down to the 1 minute time frame. And as you guys can see, price entered us and there was no indication of a reversal. So this is a totally valid position. So we'll scale back up to the 15 minute and we'll continue playing price either until stop loss or take profit is hit. There it is. All right, another plus 2.5 R in the books. Go ahead and get rid of this position on our screen and document another plus 2.5 RR. And as of right now, we're up about 7.5 R profits with the -1, so about 6.5 R. And of course, you are going to experience some spread and some slippage, naturally trading on gold with a tighter stop loss. But of course, when we have a higher take profit of 2.5 RR, the total effect of spreads and slippage is quite minute, which is why I'm experimenting with testing higher RRs for the system compared to the previous 1R model I was trading. But now that we're back on the charts, again, simply, we're going to let the range close out. And we have our next daily high and level, so we're simply going to adjust the fib. And now that we have our levels, we're simply going to let price reveal itself. Okay, and that is going to be an entry for a short, stop loss at the 0.1, take profit at the negative 0.25. And just to be safe, we'll confirm on the lower time frames to make sure there was no funny business when we got entered. As you guys can see, it was a clean entry, so we'll scale back up to the 15 minute and continue playing price. And another beautiful plus 2.5 R in the books. We'll get rid of that and we'll throw on a plus 2.5 RR. And as always, we're simply going to wait for the next daily candles open. Beautiful. So we have our next day's levels. We have our fib at the low there, followed by the 1 level at the previous day's high. Okay, we're approaching the high. And we do get an entry, so that would have been a long position at the 1, stop loss at the 0.9, and a take profit at this blue line here, aka the 1.25. And as we can see here, this was a clean entry on the 15 minute. There was no grab and reversals, so we're simply just going to let price play out on this time frame. Okay, and there you have it. So we entered the position. Price didn't have enough steam to push to the 1.25 level, aka our take profit, and it reversed and stopped us out. So that is our trade for the day, and that is going to be a -1. And the beauty of trading a purely mechanical system is that we're not really worried about the -1s because we understand our system has a mathematical edge against the markets, and all we have to do is apply the rules and let the math play out and tie that in with a beautiful entry model of only showing up to the charts 5 to 10 minutes a day and placing our trades. That is how you can build a trading system that A, doesn't require more than 1 hour of chart time a day, and B, a system that grows your account without having to make emotional decisions every day in the market. But anyway, we're gonna let this range close out. And now that we have our next daily levels, simply going to adjust the fib. Okay, and as you guys can see, that was an instant entry there, followed by a stop out. And as you guys know, this is gonna go down in the books as a -1. All right, and we'll let this range close out. So now that the candle has closed on the daily time frame, simply adjust the fib levels from high to low, and we have a very clean entry into our buy. So we'll go ahead and place that just so you guys can see. And followed by a stop out. So that is going to be another -1 in the books, -1 RR. And again, I do want to remind you, this system has about a 42% win rate at 2.5 R. So a streak of consecutive losses is definitely expected, and that is why you want to manage your risk accordingly. I personally don't risk more than 1 to 2% per trade. So this way I can actually survive the drawdown periods. And again, like I said, losses are completely normal and a part of the process. Anyone that tells you they have a 100% win rate is completely lying to you. Trading is a game of probabilities, and you will take losses, which is again why I stress math over emotions. I simply gather the data for a system and I trade it. That is it. I don't use much discretion in my trading. I simply just follow the numbers. I've come to find out my account has had the most growth when I started to eliminate discretion and trade purely based on math. And that is what I recommend you guys start doing. I recommend you guys start backtesting systems and creating rules based on the data the chart is telling you. And if you guys want a proper video on how to actually backtest, just let me know in the comments below. I got you guys. As you guys can see here, I'm very thorough with my data collection. I literally collect everything from the total R ran, the time of entry, and so on. And the simple skill of collecting data that has allowed me to create these mechanical 1 candle systems that only require about 5 to 10 minutes of chart time a day. So once you guys master the skill of backtesting, you'll have so much power to create your own system that you can trade profitably. Let's go ahead and go back to the charts. We'll do a few more examples for you guys here. And of course, as always, we're gonna let this range close out. Awesome, so we have our next daily range. So we'll outline it from high to low. And now that we have our range, we're simply going to let price do the rest. And keep in mind, as soon as the daily candle closes at 6 p.m., you're already setting your orders for the buy and the sell. And that is it. We have a beautiful entry into our short position here. And before we continue playing price, we're going to confirm that we did not get stopped out. Okay, and there you guys can see on this 1 minute candle, we were entered. There was no reversal taking us out. So we'll come back to the 15-minute time frame and we'll let price tell the story. All right, so we have another -1 in the books. I'm going to delete that position there and document another -1 RR. And of course, now that we've already placed our trade and the result was revealed to us, we're not going to do anything until this next daily open. All right, so now we're going to simply adjust the fibs. Now that we have our levels, and of course in lifetime, you're placing your orders at the high and the low of the range. And after that, you are done for the day. Okay, looks like we're approaching the low. Okay, no entry yet. And there it is. That is going to be an entry at the low. So we'll go ahead and place that for visual sake. And we'll confirm we did not get stopped out on the lower time frames. Go on the 1 minute and perfect. And yeah, it looks like we're good for this position. We had this 1 minute candle here enter our position with no signs of reversal. So this position is in the clear. And of course, back to the 15-minute, exactly what we want to see in gold when we run either the high or the low. And as you guys can see, as soon as we ran the low, we had an impulsive move to our take profit, which only took about 30 minutes between entering you and exiting you out of this position. So in reality, you would have showed up here, placed your orders, and price would have simply done the rest, putting you into a profit in this trade. And the moment you place your trades here, you are absolutely done for the day. You're simply just waiting for this next daily close, and it is that simple. So now that we have the result for this trade of another +25R, we'll go ahead and end the backtesting session there, and we'll add up the totals for the session. So as you guys can see, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 winners, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 losers. So we had about a 50% win rate in this session, which overperforms the true win rate. So in this sample size of 10 trades, we had an overperformance of the true win rate, the 42% win rate of this system, which is going to happen. Like I say all the time, you could backtest 10 trades and have a 30% win rate, and then backtest another trades and have a 60% win rate. And of course, in the end, you will have the true win rate of your system. And many of you guys might even go try and backtest this yourself. Backtest this for 5 trades and maybe only see 1 winner out of the 5. But to be honest, if you have that mindset, you're going to find it really difficult to have success with trading. So if you guys are going to backtest anything, do it right. Backtest at least 100 trades before you make any conclusion about any type of win rate. But as you guys can see here, again, in the sample session, we did about a 50% win rate at 2.5 RR. Again, if you want to add up all the R's, it's about 7.5 R total, which is about 0.75 R per trade. So for every trade we took, we averaged 0.75 R, which again is overperforming the average. But that is what happens when we test one sample size at a time. But anyway, guys, that about wraps it up for this backtesting session. If you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. And if you guys want an in-depth video of how I actually backtest, again, feel free to leave down in the comments below. And also, if you already haven't, feel free to grab my 1 candle playbook down in the description, where I also go over this gold strategy and other strategies that I've used to compound my account with only about 5 to 10 minutes a day. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one.